Are you still struggling with Cammy, in spite of all the efforts you've made to ensure consistency and to get out of your respective rank, but yet all of that effort just can't seem to give you the results you desire? Well, in this video, we're going to go over 3 reasons why you're losing with Cammy, so let's get started. All that being said, if you want to see more content like this on the channel, then be sure as always to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get straight to the first point. Now in our last video, we covered Ken and talked about greedy aggression. So now we're going to talk about blind aggression or blind rushdown and what that really means as far as Cammy's concerned. Blind rushdown is simply just not having a game plan behind your rushdown. That is to say, you go into a match, you see your opponent, and you think this one strategy is going to work because it's worked several times before. Not knowing that every matchup that you encounter is going to be different, not just due to the character that they're playing, but also the player themselves. And so Cammy players need to adjust and adapt accordingly to what's being thrown at them. And being blind in your rushdown means you really have no sort of game plan pertaining to what you have to do. What are your setups? What set plays can you do? What are your wake up options against this character? These are things you have to think about very carefully and very meaningfully, because otherwise you'll constantly go into a match thinking that one trick or one size fits all, and that method, that strategy will never take you further, or at least in this case, higher in the rankings. You're going to find yourself stuck, hard stuck for the most part, because you're too linear. You're not thinking outside the box. Your rushdown game is too predictable, and instead of really mixing things up, which is what Cammy is really known for, you're instead relying on a one-dimensional method which worked in lower rankings, lower brackets, but again, as you move higher in the rankings, you're going to have to start thinking a little bit more deeper and really try to peel off more layers to Cammy's overall rushdown game plan. So that being said, let's move on to the second point. As aforementioned in the previous point, blind rushdown really pertains to just having a really one-dimensional way of thinking. And this could lead to a one-dimensional way of doing combos or optimization in this case. And the reason why you're losing is because your optimization is poor. You're relying too much on one setup, you're relying too much on one typical conversion option, you're relying too much on one Oki option. You're not mixing things up to the point where your opponent has to continue guessing. You're heavily reliant on, again, something that's worked for you in the past, but it's not working for you now. And the only way for you to improve as a player and stop losing as frequently as you do with Cammy is you need to start adjusting. You need to start looking at other new ways of confusing the enemy and applying, again, new layers, new tactics, new ways to optimize combos, so therefore you can put your opponent in the corner more or do more mid-screen mix-ups, so on and so forth. This is all down to you, the player. This requires you to do your homework, go into training mode, perhaps watch some high-level gameplay and take notes. But most of the time you're losing because, again, you're not optimizing correctly. You're going into every match with pretty straightforward combos, but these combos aren't scaring the enemy. And what do I mean by that? In the game of Street Fighter, it's all about respect and sometimes, of course, disrespect. And in order for the opponent to respect you, in this case, that is, if you do a combo that doesn't do as much damage to the enemy, they're not going to respect you because that combo doesn't scare them. So let's say you whiff punish somebody and you did a really poor optimized combo. That damage that they accumulated doesn't scare them. So what are they going to do? They're going to keep doing the same thing to you because you haven't punished them severely enough to where they have to respect your game. They have to respect your mix-up options. So you got to find damaging combos that now create a reminder to the opponent that, oh, okay, this is really, really damaging. I can't afford to, let's say, jump in. I can't afford to press a button and wake up, because I'm going to get meatied into a combo. These are things that you have to start thinking about, because as you become more optimized in your conversions, which is really important, you want to be converting your damage into something that's meaningful, something that, again, scares the opponent into thinking twice about pressing a button or jumping in, so on and so forth. You have to start thinking as a Cammy player how to use that to your advantage, and therefore maintain that consistency throughout all of your matches. So that being said, let's move on to the last and final point. The one shining aspect about Cammy when compared to other characters is how immaculate she is when it comes to her whiff punishing game. At the highest level of gameplay, you've seen the likes of Kazunoko, Punk, pull off some amazing, mind-blowing moves, mind-blowing tactics that make you question whether this character is broken or not. But the fact of the matter is that they're just really consistent with their whiff punishing. They know exactly where to position themselves on the playing field versus their opponent. They know and understand the matchup correctly. They know exactly what to look out for as far as their opponent's punishing moves. And this is where Cammy can shine. However, in your case, you're losing because you're not as consistent as they are. You're inconsistent with your whiff punishing, and as a result, you're getting punished heavily because now the opponent is whiff punishing you. So why is that happening? That's likely because you're not in the right position. You're not really thinking about where you are in relation to the enemy. You're throwing out buttons in neutral and you're getting counter poked, or again, in this case, you're the one being whiff punished instead of the opposite. So this is where you need to start restructuring your neutral game, because your neutral game is really where Cammy shines. If you're not able to optimize your neutral game as a Cammy player, you're going to find yourself struggling to really get in on the enemy, because you have some of the best buttons in the game and you are known for being the whiff punisher. You have such amazing tools that you can utilize consistently. And if you can apply that pressure in neutral, making the opponent afraid to press buttons in neutral, you are going to always find ways to optimize, and you're going to always find ways to apply the correct rushdown method. So these are things to really think about as a Cammy player. So take note on this, practice whiff punishing better optimize your combos, and don't be too greedy or too blind in your rushdown. All that being said, I hope these 3 reasons have helped you and have been a reminder. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as always. And new warriors, stay strong and keep fighting. Take care and peace out.